Aditya Digital Network presents the longest running episodic talk show in India in association with the Dusra.net, India's number one and only sports, education, and entertainment website. This is episode 142 as the world countdowns to the year 2020 doubled. World's number one talk show will also complete its 150th episode on the 1st of January. Watch TV and get obese. This is what a new study says. It means that since 1959, when humanity and civilization first started watching television, obesity as a NCD, a non-communicable disease, has plagued us for the past 6 decades. But there's a difference with what the researchers say today and what they could have said 6 decades ago. The difference is that when television first became as a medium of information, entertainment, and education, we were wowed by it the same way we have been wowed by tablets, mobile phones, and artificial intelligence. 60 years ago, the television was as innovative a piece of technology as are robots and AI today. So it was acceptable. Nobody even thought that 6 decades ago we would be calling the television an idiot box. What is the solution? What is the alternative to not watching TV? Playing outside, with climate change becoming a rage, with unseasonal weather like rains or pollution affecting most cities, children have been asked to stay indoors. So, what should one do while staying indoors? Ideally, not watch TV, play board games, read a book, but then board games are not available as they used to be once upon a time is a sort of a dilemma. So TV is not the solution to staying indoors and having some kind of entertainment. If TV is not the right form of entertainment and education, then what is? Reading books? If students read books apart from their curriculum books, then it is often called a waste of time. Considering how sensitive we are about novels and books today, if they turn out to be sarcastic about events happening around the world, and if children are exposed to such content, then they will be not affected by what their parents or teachers say. So, apart from curriculum books, students should not read other books as it is a waste of time and a lot of influence on the children. Individuals being more sensitive, if one reads a book that is a physical copy, then the first reaction of other individuals will be you are reading a book which is made by cutting trees. That means usual process of trees absorbing CO2 and giving out O2 is reduced. But if we shift to tablets, then also we are contributing to pollution because eventually your tablets, computers will become e-waste. Books are out as long as they are not a part of your curriculum. Once consumption of food and consumption of ideas are intrinsically linked, move on to sedentary lifestyle. Is a situation where individuals sit down for hours, are either hooked onto one's computers, phones, tablets, or are reading books. But one has to understand that one can only read a book or even watch something on the computer only by sitting. But now the dilemma is sitting for too long is not good for your health, nor is standing for too long. And as far as sedentary lifestyle is concerned, it's not a new concept. We just gave it a proper term today, One can go back 100 years from now. Even then, individuals used to sit on their desks and work. Search is ambiguous in the sense that it says television watching is detrimental to children's health, but what do children watch on television? Is that also covered? No, it's a very generic kind of a research work, therefore ambiguous. Irony being that we are encouraging children to learn through apps and not the traditional method of books. So, how can TV become detrimental to children's health and result in obesity? It depends what an individual watches on TV. TV cannot be called an idiot box in its wholesome. We cannot be affected by this just because 60 years ago, when TV came for the first time, there were two or three channels at most, and now we have over 300 channels of entertainment, information, and education. But there is still a choice. If you do not want to watch a particular TV show, one can always watch an educational channel. Reading books has become an outdated part of learning, and it's all about learning applications, animations. Then TV should also become a part of the same. If there is an option to watch an educational channel, then do watch it. You don't have to watch TV shows which affect your mind. If still this doesn't work with a few individuals, then what is the best thing to do? If children are not interested in learning or don't have interest in studying, especially on holidays or on days where they are forced to be indoors because of circumstances beyond their control, then the best way to exercise your intellect and put it to work is through doing crossword puzzles. Play a board game, and when I say board game, play the actual physical board game. Play games like Scrabble or any kind of mind puzzles. Just don't make this television a factor which affects young minds. Young minds are impressionable, but they are also smart enough to know what to watch and what not to watch. City is one term we have used so often that now it's become old and nobody takes it seriously. Children should be encouraged to have their own library. Books are a treasure trove. They will always be in vogue, despite the fact that a book was published 60 years ago, and children, irrespective of their age, should be allowed to read books of all authors and every genre if they are interested. Means the library in the school plays a very important role. If children are interested in reading a sports magazine in the library, they should be encouraged. There should be no restrictions on what children of different grades can read. Forget about being impressionable minds. Let them decide this for themselves, that whether they are impressionable minds or not. Let an 8-year-old read War and Peace or Anna Karenina or even Pride and Prejudice, and even if they understand nothing, let them absorb the idea. We cannot restrict a children's reading habit because the book is far beyond their scope or understanding. Particular study, it only talks about what is the problem, but it does not give a solution. If not TV, then what? If not a sedentary lifestyle, then if you are restricted at your home, then what is the solution? One hand, we are talking about modern methods of studying, that is learning apps or videos and animations. On the other hand, we consider TV an idiot box. When we talk about not giving children mobile phones or any kind of gadget, but we are forced to. Mushrooming of tuition centers is to blame for this. A certain mindset has been created that schools are not competent enough for students so that they can score good marks and go to a good college. So tuition centers have taken advantage of this mindset of parents that tuition centers will help their wards get high marks and eventually get admission in a prestigious college. So, what happens when a parent is forced to send their wards to tuition centers? Children are often going alone to tuition centers, so they are given mobile phones for communication purposes, and this mobile phone eventually becomes a source of distraction. The very distraction that one often hears should not be in children's hand before they are mature, at least before 18 years of age. Why do parents think that tuition centers are more competent than schools? Because nobody is interested in nurturing a kid who is not just about learning and mugging. Often fragile mindset of parents because they are influenced by their children's hope for the future, which is beyond participating in cultural activities in school, which is often seen as a waste of time, and tuition centers will only focus on making sure that the student becomes an expert in mugging. Right, all the talk about progress in technology, especially educational technology, this particular thought process of sending children to prestigious colleges and eventually landing them a job in which they earn more than the parents earned during their younger days has remained static and rigid until this mindset becomes flexible that school is beyond studying. It is about nurturing a kid and becoming a better human being. Till then, tuition centers will exploit this very lacuna in the thought process of parents, and tuition centers also means that at least the children are studying. They are not at home wasting time. One should not put their eggs in one basket and just blame TV as a source of obesity and a learning stagnation in children. Virat Kohli's knock of 70 runs of 29 balls reminded me of Yuvraj Singh's similar knock against Australia in the inaugural 20 over World Cup 12 years ago. The same aggression, the same animated gestures by Yuvraj Singh were emulated by the current captain Virat Kohli. Six sixes in an over is probably never going to be repeated because bowlers have become more mature, and if they see a batter attacking, they will use variations like the knuckleball, the bouncer, the slower bouncer, the yorkers, the wide delivery, and what Stuart Broad did 12 years ago. It may not be repeated, but one cannot blame Stuart Broad for going for six sixes in an over only because it was the first time the entire cricketing arena was being involved in a 20 over World Cup and nobody knew what were the variations or if any of these variations even existed. There are two parts to India scoring 240. The first part is that West Indies have such good batters that they can chase any total if it's between 180 and 200. And also, everybody was wanting India to go and unshackle themselves as far as 20 over matches are concerned. Though for me, they have always been unshackled. But this format scenario has made everybody so conservative. Therefore, this particular aggression was needed. But now a concern has emerged that white ball cricket, that is 50 overs and 20 over matches, are now preceding and becoming more important than test cricket. Also, the fact that white ball cricket, 50 and 20 over cricket is killing test cricket. This theory is preposterous because it is not backed by any kind of facts or logic. You can say that the emergence of 20 over matches has only helped in test matches as teams often accelerate, declare early, and then go for the win. if there was only test matches and one day. And we know that what used to happen, teams would often shut themselves down and not go for the win. So what is better, going for the win or just becoming boring? It has to be a balance between aggression and mindfulness. Popular saying change is the only constant is not applicable to cricket, because as cricket has evolved and we have various formats, the experts and others are going into a shell and becoming more rigid. Question to these experts is, why didn't we talk about 50 overs and 20 overs killing Test cricket when Tendulkar was hitting sixes and fours for fun in that knock against Australia in Sharjah, or Brian Lara hit 400 runs in a match, which meant that most likely the match would be a draw, and all the match was about personal milestones and emotions. If the team had wanted to win, they could have declared before, but sometimes such decisions overpower the team's need to win. If that was the case, then why did the Australian captain declare when David Warner scored 335? Why didn't they extend the session and let Australia bat till David Warner made 400 runs? Had David Warner in a hypothetical situation gone on to make 400 runs and rain had affected the match, or the opposing team had batted out the entire session and saved the match, then one would have called that as a greed, but not when Lara made 400 runs and that match eventually became a draw. Shows a double standard, because Lara was called a legend and David Warner hasn't gone up to that level of being called a legend. That is the difference between the attitude. There was this concern when 22 years ago Sri Lanka scored 950 runs and its opposing team India scored 540 runs in a match, and it eventually led to a draw. Shouldn't that be called poor batting or all milestone mindset team? Then nobody had any concern. And if this happens now, if a team scores 950 runs, then the first reaction will be the team is not in the mood to win, they are only there to get milestones. But 22 years ago, since this was such a novelty, everybody was appreciative and not one individual even said anything against the status quo. Coming back to the particular 20 over match, for me, KL Rahul has blocked his position in the team. Shikhar Dhawan has no chance of making a comeback even if he recovers from his injury in the next couple of months. It's not just about the fact that Rahul scored runs or he was aggressive, but about the fact that he has an added dimension to his skill set. He is not only a brilliant fielder but gives the added dimension of being a keeper if India want to go with an extra bowler and they rest Pant. Though the 20 over World Cup is just under 10 months away, and often the talk begins which team has a greater chance of winning the World Cup. Unlike the 50 over World Cup, where for 4 World Cups, home supremacy was an important point. For example, 1996 Sri Lanka, 2011 India, 2015 Australia, and 2019 England. At this point in time, all the 10 teams, including Afghanistan and Bangladesh, have an equal chance of securing that World Cup trophy. Home supremacy factor, if you look at the past winners, does not count. 2007 India won in South Africa, 2009 Pakistan won in England, 2010 England won in West Indies, 2012 West Indies wins in Sri Lanka, 2014 Sri Lanka wins in Bangladesh, and 2016 West Indies wins in India. India take a leaf out of the team which won in 2007 and go with the same formula? To an extent, yes. To other extents, maybe it may not work. 2007, India won all their matches by batting first and defending, and most of the totals were not as high as they are today. And if those totals were scored today, that is the totals of 160, 153, 190, they would have been easily eclipsed and would have been called a below par score. But 12 years ago, when everything was new about 20 overs, even 160 looked like 220. Now the question is, who are the lucky 17 who will go and who are the ones who will miss out? I do not want anyone to miss out. If one presumes that Rohit, Rahul, Kohli, Bumrah, Pandya, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, Kuldeep Yadav, and Chahal are the individuals locked, one should add Pant to the individuals locked. We still should go with at least two all-rounders, that is, one between Jadeja, Kunal Pandya, and Washington Sundar, and two out of Vijay Shankar, Shivam Dube, and Hardik Pandya. In Australia, one doesn't need to fret too much because even if a team scores 190, the big grounds and more sporting wickets will make it difficult for the team to chase. One doesn't need to fret about what kind of a score should a team have. Their only concern should be that if they win the toss, they should bat first. And if they have to chase, then they should bowl good enough to restrict the batting team. Unlike England, who were predicted to win the World Cup even before the World Cup started. For 20 overs, such predictions make no sense and has no backing of logic and facts. 20 over World Cup is like the Royal Rumble. It's difficult to know who will be the next team in the pool or who will emerge as a surprise element. Despite the mushrooming of 20 over tournaments and 20 over World Cup becoming a rage, teams will still be conservative as they have always been. If they have a set 1, 2, 3, 4, they will not change it unless needed. The more things change, the more they remain the same. Thank you for listening to episode number 142, which was broadcast on the 13th of December 2019. Please send your valuable suggestions through your comments and audio recording to the email ID adityatherewriter@gmail.com. You can also like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and Facebook page, and stay tuned for the next episode.